All right, welcome back, decoders, to the channel. This is Decoding with Cody, and hope you guys are amazing today. Give me those thumbs up in the chat if the sound is clear. I'll wait for those thumbs up, and I can't make this stream too long because I'm running out of stream time for the month, so I'm going to hopefully jump right in pretty fast here. Also, yeah, so we're gonna have a long. It's a decent sized presentation. I have a lot to talk about. First, we're gonna start off by talking about the debate today between Trump and Biden. But yeah, guys, let me know if you guys can hear me in the chat. Give me a thumbs up. I'm not sure what's going on with the stream here. It says I only have 15 in the chat, so I'll give it a few minutes here. For those of you watching on the replay, I'll try to get into this as fast as possible. But thanks to all the 28 in the chat. Hello, Spirit Miracle. He says the movie Prestige shows the magic trick that Trump will perform. Interesting. I'll have to check that out. The Prestige. Hello, Coffee Girl. Hello, Bones Jones. Kathy Chauner. And Brian Smolin. Thanks for the thumbs up, guys. Hello, Sandy. Sandy D. Hello, Visionary Vet. And hello to my girlfriend, Magdalena. Love you, babe. Yeah, happy debate day, huh? Yeah, we're going to talk about the debate first, and then we're going to talk about the month of July, because there's so much pointing to something with cryptocurrency or money in the month of July. It's just it could be an interesting month when it comes to money. July or August. I mean, it could also be August, but I just want to preface this by saying that July and August look very interesting. Just with the money situation. So, crypto, being somebody who also reads the charts, it looks like crypto is ready to start moving up again after a bit of a correction. So, what I'm saying is, I think what I'm about ready to show you here is going to all connect with money, right? So there's a reason I believe Trump was indicted on hush money, okay? I think a lot of people are forgetting about the fact that he was convicted of hush money. So there's obviously something about money, right? Of course, Trump is a billionaire, or was a billionaire probably, and so it's about money, right? A plutocracy, right? So I'm just going to kind of preface this video by saying all that. So Jamachinator85, what's up, brother? Thank you. You're gonna bring him on in a bit. I'll bring Jamachinator85 on. He's gonna share some stuff, and then yeah, I'm gonna jump right into it. Joseph Aquaviva, much love, brother. True Spirit, Sylvia Foster, and Decoding with Jordan. What's up, guys? Hope you guys are all good. So let's get into it. Again, we're going to talk about the debate first, just some simple finds I found on the debate, nothing special, but then we're going to talk about this event coming up and in this show. So there's a show called Those About to Die, and there's an event called Money in the Bank. So these two events are going to tie into what's going on in July, okay? So here we go. So the first thing, we have this debate today, and this is tied to Trump. I'm going to tie Trump in with the money in July in a little bit, but let's first start off by talking about this debate today. I noticed that this debate is on the day leaving 187 days in the year, and 187 is a huge number when it comes to Washington, D.C., which equals 187. Society of Jesus. Of course, the Society of Jesus, the order of the Catholic Church, right? George Washington, the first president, equals 187. JFK, ASS, ASSINATION equals 187. Brotherhood of Death, the other name for the Skull and Bones, 187. The Jesuits are known for poisoning with arsenic poisoning, 187. But notice, the United States presidential debate, which is basically what they're calling this, equals 187. 187 days left in the year you got a United States presidential debate. Okay. So huge number, 187. I'm going to talk about how this ties in with the show, Those About to Die. And Those About to Die is a show coming out on 18/7. Okay, so there you go again. Got all the 187s, the debates on the day leaving 187. And then you have a show coming out in a few weeks on 18/7. And it's titled Those About to Die. Okay, and I just told you arsenic poisoning, the Jesuits, 187, JFK, the JFK thing right there, 187, Brotherhood of Death, 187, Those About to Die coming out on 18/7. Okay. So this number I just thought was huge to talk about here because it seemed to be coming up a lot, and especially considering this show is about Rome and the gladiators, and we have the Olympic Games coming up in a month from now, exactly a month from now. So you have this, this guy who plays the main character in the show is, gosh, I just forgot his name now. I just forgot the guy's name. But you guys know who that is. He's a very famous actor. I don't know why I just forgot his name. But just notice this guy right here in the middle. Okay. You see how he's flipping a coin? So this is how it's going to tie into the money. Okay. There's a reason why the centerpiece of this is a coin, a gold coin. And that's what's going to lead into what I talk about here and as we go through. So again, to continue with the 187s, this presidential debate is on the day leaving 187 days in the year. Exactly a month from now, a span of a month from now, on July 26th, the Olympic Games will start in Paris, France, where the Society of Jesus was founded. I just showed you Society of Jesus 187. Exactly a month after the 187-day debate will be the Olympic Games in Paris, France, which equals 187. Again, Those About to Die, about a gladiator games coming out on 187. Okay, so this number definitely seems to be relevant here. Okay, and just so you guys know, Anthony Hopkins, that's the guy's name I was trying to find in my head. Anthony Hopkins. Now remember, he played in Hannibal Lecter, so that connects to the Dragon Year, when the Dragon Year, and I just find it funny that they call this show Those About to Die. And I think that we've all known that something could be coming with Trump possibly, or even Biden, and the debate being on the day leaving 187 days in the year, exactly a month from the Olympic Games in Paris, France, which equals 187. And not only that, guys, but the debate today is on the 179th day of the year, okay? 187 days remaining. It's the 179th day of the year. And the show, Those About to Die, equals 179. Okay, so very interesting. The debate between the two oldies who both probably don't have so much longer, right? Those About to Die, 179 day of the year. Anthony Hopkins, the star of this show, is born, because he's born on the last day of the year, December 31st. That means this debate is 179 days after the star actor's birthday, and the show equals 179. The debate is today on the 179th day of the year. Okay. And another interesting fact, considering presidential, you know what, the ASS word. Well, remember, Franz Ferdinand was taken out on June 28th, 1914. That means that today will be a span of 110 years exactly since the taking out of Archduke Franz Ferdinand that started World War I. Okay. And of course, there's a debate happening today on the 110th anniversary where it's about presidents, and president equals 110 and presidential debate equals 110. So president 110, presidential debate 110, 110th anniversary of the of Archduke Franz Ferdinand. So just think about this, guys. Those About to Die, the 187 code, all connected to JFK, the Society of Jesus, to Those About to Die, the Brotherhood of Death, all 187. And then you have Those About to Die, and then you have this debate coming on the anniversary, essentially, of the Franz Ferdinand death. Okay. So it doesn't seem like a coincidence to me. It really, really does not. And I'm going to show you as we go through this why it doesn't seem like a coincidence. considering the next month what could be coming. So, but now we're going to talk about the money. Remember, Trump, he was found guilty of hush money. So it's all about the money, guys. Money runs the world, essentially. I wish it didn't, but that's the way it is. And so I just noticed something in this trailer of Those About to Die, right? It says, this is literally word for word what Anthony Hopkins says in this trailer. I'll read it for you. Citizens of Rome, place your bets well, for there are those about to rise and those about to die. This is literally what he says in the trailer. You guys can watch it. I can't play it here, but this is literally word for word what he says in the trailer. And as soon as he says there are those about to rise, the X starts to light up. And then it zooms into the X. And as the X flips around, it turns into the phrase July 2024. Okay, so I didn't take a picture of that. But anyway, you have the X lighting up as he says, for those about to rise. And then it zooms in on the X. Remember, this is the 24th year. X is the 24th letter. Okay. And so they zoom in on the X just as they're saying those about to rise, right? And then as it flips around, you see the words turn into July 2024, okay? So, yeah, I mean, that's kind of what I'm getting. Digital currencies are about to rise. The old system is about to die, right? I mean, that's clearly what they're saying. And I told you, it says, citizens of Rome, place your bets. This is all about money, right? Placing your bets. I showed you how in the main picture, you see the guy with the coin in the middle. Okay, so it's all about money. I'm telling you, that's what this is all about. And it could be about Trump getting taken out. It could be about Biden possibly going, but I think it's more about the money. Okay. So, anyways, just keep in mind the X, right? Why did they light up the middle X during those about to rise? Okay. Of course, this is the Roman numerals for the year 2024. Okay, this is Roman numeral 2024. But that leads me to this, because at the beginning of July, WWE, you guys know I love to follow these big events with WWE. This month it was in Scotland. Next month it's in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, at Scotia Bank. What's interesting about that? Scotia is Scotland. So the last WWE event was in Scotland. The next event is in Toronto at Scotia Bank Arena. Okay, Scotia Bank, Scotland. Scotia is I believe it's connected to Scotland. Now, look at the date here, July 6th, 2024, Money in the Bank at Scotia Bank Arena. How much more obvious does it need to be that they're all about the banks and the money? Okay. The guy on the front, I'm going to talk a lot about him. Okay. I'm going to talk a lot about this character, but he's holding out the briefcase. So in this event, they have to climb ladders. They have to climb the ladders to reach the briefcase with the contract inside to cash in for the gold, the championship. Okay. And there's a reason why they put this guy on holding the briefcase that says Yeet in the Bank. And I'm going to talk about that in a minute. But let's just look at this. Toronto equals 72, like money, like Bitcoin. Toronto equals Bitcoin in multiple ciphers, 72 and 117. Okay. So a perfect place to have a money in the bank. Now, what's even more crazy is let's just see how they've clearly shown us that this event is tied to Bitcoin. Because on March 12th this year, which was the 72nd day of the year, Bitcoin equals 72, money 72. Bitcoin opened the day at 72,000. Okay, so Bitcoin opens the day on the 72nd day of the year at 72,000. Bitcoin 72. 117 days later, in Toronto, Canada, is Money in the Bank. And again, 117 is the gematria of Toronto and Bitcoin. Okay, so what are the chances? Opens up at 72 on the 72 day of the year. 117 days later is Money in the Bank. Bitcoin 72 and 117. Toronto 117 and 72. Money 72. And look, the stadium they're going to be playing in, Scotia Bank Arena, It was reconstructed on March 12th, 1997. That was the day that I just talked about, March 12th, the 72nd day of the year this year, where Bitcoin opened at 72, and this arena was reconstructed on that day. You guys understand what this is about here? This is obvious, okay? This is the opening price of Bitcoin, 72 on the 72. I mean, perfect, okay? And let's see. So Yeet in the bank, right? Yeet in the bank. This is the character Jey Uso. Jey Uso on the front of the Yeet in the bank, right? And look at his, if you combine his two names, Joshua Samuel Fatu is his full name, and you combine his stage name, Jey Uso, it equals 72. Like money, like Bitcoin, like Toronto, okay? And Scotiabank Arena, from the event, Scotiabank Arena, with Jey Uso on the front, to his next birthday is 1 month, 17 days, guys. 117. Bitcoin, 117. Toronto, 117. So again, they keep hitting with these numbers. So both forwards and backwards, you get a connection with Bitcoin, and then you get a connection with the character on the front, Jey Uso. Okay. Now, Jey Uso is from San Francisco, and I'm going to tie that in a minute. And yeah, I'm going to bring this up in a little bit, but this guy is connected to the family of the guy who just died, the wrestler who just died, of the Anawahi, their family. Okay, so that's connected. I see Donuts in there. Much love, Donut. He's saying 72 bricks on the back of the US dollar. Yep, money 72. Money equals 27. The building is 27 years old. Yeah, so perfect. Money equals 72.27. Gematinator says money equals 63. Jey Uso was born exactly 603 weeks before the building was reconstructed. I mean, I'm just going to have to bring you on in a minute, man. Actually, I'm going to drop the link for Gematinator right now, because as I go through this, I might also need him. So give me just a second. So I'm going to drop the link, because he's going to have information that's probably relevant. And thank you guys for adding on in the chat. So there's the link. And I'll add you in once you get in. But again, guys, there's a reason Jey Uso is on the front of this. I'm going to talk about it. It's going to tie to Ripple XRP, the cryptocurrency. It's going to tie to Trump. And we're going to look at the lunar phases, which I think are important here. We're going to look at the brown lunation. So, yeah, it looks like Derek's in here.
Hello.
All right, Derek, you there?
I am here. Can you hear me?
Say something again. My volume was down.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now. My volume was completely down. So, all right. Well, that's an amazing addition I didn't catch with the you said 600. You can say what you said in the chat.
Sure. So in reverse, money equals 63. And I just thought to check from Jey Uso's birthday to that reconstruction date on March 12th that you showed.
Mm-hmm.
And it was exactly 603 weeks apart.
Right.
And now it's 27 years later, and money also equals 27 in reduction.
Right. Yep. And this, whenever I see the 72 and 27, I always think money. It's one of the first things I think. And yeah, I mean, we're going to talk a bit about the 27. Well, I didn't actually put a lot of 27s in here, but I'm going to talk a bit about that because it connects with the Ripple lawsuit also. But yeah, interesting that if you combine his names, Joshua Samuel Fatu and Jey Uso equals 72. And again, this event is 1 month, 17 days before his birthday. And
money
yeah,
also, sorry, Cody, money also equals 525. And I thought that was interesting because that's Roman Reigns' birthday.
Right.
And Roman Reigns' dad just died. So,
and I connected that with the gold because the gold, he's 79 days after he lost the gold. And like you said in your video, your write-up, it was also 70 or 79 days after the eclipse. So yeah, definitely definitely looks like seems to be a gold theme here too. Considering even the front of the cover is pretty much yellow or gold. A lot of gold there.
Right.
Um, so another thing I found interesting is that Scotia Bank equals 95, like Jey Uso. Of course, he's on the front of the promo for this event, which is in Scotia Bank, and his full name, Joshua Samuel Fatu, 95 also. And Scotia Bank is part of the Canadian multinational banking financial services headquartered in Toronto, one of Canada's big five banks. So there's probably more there with like the big five. There's probably more to look to with that, but also what I noticed about Toronto is there was a stock exchange there. It's called the Toronto Stock Exchange, TSX, and there you got your X again. And Toronto Stock Exchange TSX equals 117, like Toronto, again, like Bitcoin, and so big number with the 117. And so the event will be, so this stock exchange in Toronto opened up on October 25th, 1861. So this Money in the Bank in Toronto will be 15 weeks and 6 days before this Toronto Stock Exchange opened up. Money in the Bank equals 156. Of course, 9/11 is also the 156 prime. So it could be something there with the stocks. I also noticed that this is on the 79th Meridian West. So that could also connect with the 79s we were talking about.
Oh, definitely.
But I also wanted to talk about this word yeet because it's all over. I mean, it's the most prominent word on the front there. So yeet it can mean to throw something or chuck something. Like you yeet something onto the baseball field. Like that's basically to throw is what another definition. But in this case, I think Jey Uso uses the term yeet to describe enthusiasm or approval or triumph or pleasure or joy or excitement, essentially. So it's interesting.
It sounds like it's the new what chant in wrestling.
Right, yeah. Yeah, if you guys don't watch wrestling, you wouldn't know, but this is big right now with all the yeets. They love to do the yeets. And then Jey Uso is the most energetic superstar in WWE right now. When he comes out, he gets the whole crowd going up and down, lots of enthusiasm, right? So the word yeet literally means enthusiasm. And I think it could be July could be getting very enthusiastic for the crypto market. So that's at least what I'm getting from this.
Yeeting all the way to the bank.
Yep. And another thing, connecting these two things with Those About to Die, which is coming out later in the month, I found it very interesting that on the Wikipedia page for Anthony Hopkins, the star of Those About to Die, they give two pictures of him, and both are from him in Toronto. So, of all the places that he, could have been taken a picture of and posted on there, they decided to take two pictures from him in Toronto International Film Festival. In 2010, why couldn't they do a more recent picture? I just thought it was really strange, considering the fact that this event is in Toronto just days before, this show comes out.
Sure. And I've shown that on many decodes before, where they'll keep a picture from 2007 when the person was 33 years old or something, and that's relevant to their later death. So
Right.
It might sound silly to some people, but there's absolutely intent there.
Yeah. And it just I saw Toronto there, and I tried to look and see if Anthony Hopkins had any other real ties to Toronto, but I didn't really see anything. And all I really saw was that he was at this film festival, and the two pictures they use on there was from Toronto. So it seemed to back up the connection between these two events. And so what I really was immediately thinking, because I have a lot of XRP followers, crypto people that follow my channel. If you guys don't know, XRP, the cryptocurrency created by Ripple, the company, to help banks, right? And we're talking about the show Money in the Bank. And Ripple was actually released in a dragon year. We're also in a dragon year. Anthony Hopkins connected to the Red Dragon with Hannibal Lecter, which is connected to the Red Dragon, which is also, and he's from Wales. And King Charles, obviously right now, or Prince William right now is the King of Wales, but King Charles was of Wales. So there's a lot of dragon connections here also. And so I just noticed, again, I told you in the beginning how in this trailer, they zoom in on the X, Those About to Rise, and they zoom in on the X specifically, and they light this middle X up the most, and then they zoom in and they turn this X around into a Y, and then the whole word turns into the word July. And it caught me because of what he's saying about placing your bets, the X being right in the center, XRP. Last year in July, XRP got clarity in July 13th, and the judge ruled in New York that it was not a security, so it could be traded legally. And so last July was a huge month for XRP. So is it going to repeat? Are we going to get a repeat of back-to-back Julys? Because basically XRP had one day of like a huge 96% pump, and then it did nothing now for a whole year. So I'm thinking maybe this is exactly a year. And what I found interesting is that the graphic on this show is always showing these ripples. You guys see this? I just kept seeing this. I was like, this looks like a ripple in water. I mean, that's what it looks like to me. I mean, it could also maybe be a bullseye, but to me, it looks more like ripples because it's not spaced evenly. So, I mean, what are we saying here? I mean, looks like a ripple. Ripple equals 76. The event's on 7/6. And yeah, it just seems like that's a ripple to me. And the 76 is what I think gives it away there, I think.
Yeah,
and
that's big.
So what I found interesting is from the day that XRP got its clarity last July on 7/13/2023, here it says Ripple's XRP token surges 96% on July 13th after the partial victory. And right now we're waiting for the final ruling, and they're saying it's going to come in July or August. So they got their partial win and it pumped 96%. And then it pumped for one day, and then it did nothing for the whole year since. But what's interesting, from that day, July 13th, 2023, to the money in the bank, it's 359 days. And that's the 72nd prime. And there you go again. Money, 72. The events in Toronto, 72. Bitcoin, 72. And as Donut said in the chat, 72 bricks on the, so I think very interesting to me. And another connection is from that lawsuit win, or that partial victory, to this event is 11 months, 23 days. Well, that's the Fibonacci. That's Fibonacci day, 11/23, right? 1123 Fibonacci, golden ratio, gold. Well, that's the 188th prime number, and the 188th day of the year is the event. So from the XRP partial victory to the event, 188 prime. And this 188 was huge, actually, because Roman Reigns, who lost his gold at WrestleMania on 4/7, I think he was exactly 188 weeks into his reign, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's what I remember decoding. And this is path of totality equals 188. That could connect to the eclipse, which was the next day after Roman Reigns lost his gold. And of course, this guy on the front is Roman Reigns' cousin, who broke away from his cousin last year and went out on his own, and now he's a star on his own. So this is really connected to Roman Reigns.
Don't forget 188 also the sum of all the current active denominations of dollar bills.
Oh, really? Yeah.
So like 100 plus 50 plus 20 plus 10 plus 5 plus 1. Well, I guess plus 2 also.
Well, I mean, that makes even more sense for the 188 now. Wow. Good addition there. And so, yeah, as Derek, a lot of you guys on the channel, I haven't talked about lunations a lot, but I just wanted to bring this up so you guys understand the importance of it. And I don't know, Derek, if you want to explain a little bit about just the simplest way that you explain lunation, maybe the brown lunation.
Sure. So a lunation, also called a lunar phase or a synodic month, this measures the time it takes from new moon to new moon, or from full moon to full moon. Now, this varies slightly, by a range of about 10 hours or so, but it typically occurs once every 29.530589 days. So about 29 and a half days, a little less than a month, is when an actual lunar phase, which is why occasionally we'll have 13 lunar phases per year. There'll be a month with 2 full moons. That's called a blue moon. So at some point, there was an astronomer named Ernest William Brown, and he published some work on lunar theory. And based on his work, they decided to start counting the lunation numbers and putting like an official count on them. This began in 1923 for the first full moon of the year, which was on January 17th.
Interesting.
So,
It's at 117.
yes.
Hmm.
So it's a number connected to 13. When you write out 13, it sums to 117 in the reverse alphabetic order. And 13 is just a massively significant number of the moon. I mean, occasionally you have 13 lunar phases every year. You have the word moon begins with the 13th letter and ends with the 13th letter in reverse.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, we found that, over the years, it wasn't something I paid attention to for many years on my blog, but later on, I started to realize that there was immense importance to this lunation number. And I guess what really got me into it and caused me to commit to talking about this on my channel is I try to be very cautious when introducing new methods, new ciphers, things like that. I try to stay consistent, but this popped out at me immediately. And, we're looking at these great American eclipses and creating an X over the United States in the year 24, as you mentioned, X, the 24th letter. Is that just a coincidence? Well, the eclipse was on April 8th, which is 48, and 48 is 2 times 24, like the year 2024. So you start there and you kind of zoom back, and it's almost eerie how many things for how many centuries even have lined up. So you look at this brown lunation number that we talked about, beginning in January of 1923, where we have number 1. So every new moon, you add a new number, 29 and a half days. Well, for lunation 1212, 1212, this began on December 14th of 2020. And that date, December 14th, there was a total eclipse that peaked over the nation of Argentina. And Argentina is home to the current pope, the first pope ever to come from the Western Hemisphere. And of course, there's a lot of connections to the Catholic Church there. But for the sake of this, the eclipses from the United States, the two that created an X, were each 1,212 days away from that date, which began lunation 1212. And in gematria, total solar eclipse equals 1212. Well, in ordinal, total solar eclipse is 202. And remember, this was the year 2020. And we had the coronavirus pandemic, which equals 220. And corona is what you see when you look at an eclipse. So you put all this together and you realize this can't be a coincidence, and the more I paid attention to the lunation number, the more obvious it was. And like you see on the screen, you write out 1212 in Latin, 3460, and there's 346 weeks between the two eclipses. So to me, this is as solid proof in one slide as you're going to get that this is important. And if you also had the next one with Pope Francis, we could show that.
I didn't have time to put that in there, but
okay, that's fine. So each of these eclipses are also 173 weeks apart. And Pope Francis was born during Brown Lunation 173. And Yale University equals 173. And this kind of leads into the whole Yale Skull and Bones, their 322nd anniversary. It's all an eclipse riddle, and it's all synced up with these two eclipses. And that date, December 14th, where, for the Argentinian eclipse, that's the date that the FDA approved the CVVAXX, or however you want to say it. That was, it had been administered prior to that date in the UK, but that was the date where the FAA stamped its approval. Did I say FAA? I'm thinking about my last video, the FDA.
The plane. Yeah. This slide is an absolutely insane slide that I think, it lays out so much, and that's why I'm glad you sent it to me, because like And just the fact that when I think about this too, I think George Washington's death date is on that day, and as the first president of the United States. And it's just how the 12/12 is perfectly aligned. And yeah, it's just absolutely, it's crazy to me. So yeah,
Well, George Washington, I mean, born on 222, and
right.
his name equals the 222nd prime number. And in
Mhm.
English standard, eclipse equals 222. So no doubt there's more to it than with the
Yeah.
number.
And I just mentioned that too because I talked a bit about the 187s at the beginning with the president, with George Washington equals 187, Washington D.C. 187, and yeah, and this
Total eclipse 187.
yeah. So definitely fits in with that. But so the reason I took a little bit of break talking about the money and the money in the bank stuff, guys, is because I wanted to talk about this lunation. Okay, so and I just wanted to show the significance of it. So what I'm about ready to show you with this lunation coming up and how it's significant of why Jey Uso is on the front of the cover on the day he is. So Jey Uso again on the front, he debuted, and his real name, you see it right here. He debuted as Joshua Fatu. That's his first. That's apparently his first ever debut was as that name, which is his actual name. And Joshua Fatu equals 1256. And that's important, guys, because when you look at the Money in the Bank event on July 6th, you're going to find that this is the first day, July 6th, of Lunation 1256. And he is on the cover of the event that's on that day. And his name equals 1256. So I just thought that was absolutely insane, that the fact that his name equals that. And I think Derek probably just like kind of laughed when I shared to him because he's seen these dates, these lunations line up so much. But with me, I'm just now like really experimenting with it, and it's just like, wow. Because also in this Latin cipher, it's not so easy to get numbers right. I mean, Derek, I mean, it's not so easy to get 1256. I mean, it's not like the base ciphers where you can get more of the same numbers.
Yeah, and just to illustrate that, exactly what you said, I have a history table of 2,500 items in the calculator, right? Based on the last number of searches I've done. I punched in 1256, and there were only 3 results. And like 2 of them were just like me adding things onto another. And then one is NASCAR's full name in some other cipher. So it is extremely uncommon to run into that number, especially in what I think is the most significant form of gematria.
Right. Yeah, so that's why when I find a connection in this cipher, to me, it has a lot more weight,
Oh, yeah.
just personally, because I know it's harder, right? So with that in mind, the fact that this man, Joshua Fatu, is on the cover on July 6th, on the first day of Lunation 1256, and his name equals 1256, with that in mind, we're going to connect back to Trump, because what I found very interesting is this phrase, which and I'm not going to say, I don't think, but you guys can read, equals 1256 in the same cipher as this guy on the front. And what's very interesting is the day that he's on this event, 7/6, is the gematria of Donald John Trump, 76. Skull and Bones, 76. Huge. There's a lot of 76. I didn't put them all here, but huge that Donald John Trump equals 76. And if you type in this phrase, you get the 1256, like lunation 1256 begins on 7/6. And what's crazy, if you type in this phrase, you get the 383. That's the 76 prime number. So what I'm saying here is it's very interesting. I'm not saying that's going to happen. I've been saying for a while that Trump's possible head wound, as people call it, could be figurative, more like a shot at his character, a mug shot, for instance. So, but this month, it's interesting that Trump is getting sentenced in the 1256 lunation month, because this lunation 1256 will go from July 6th to August 3rd. What's interesting about August 3rd is it can be written 3/8 or 8/3, and this lunation ends on 1256. And of course, we know in gematria, murder is 8338, death 38, RIP 38, killing 38. So these 383 is also very connected with that kind of theme. And I just think it all comes around when you add that 38376 connection in there. And with that being said, I started looking, how does Trump connect with the 1256? Because we're going to be in Lunation 1256 for the next month. Well, I started looking back at XRP again because it was Donald Trump's SEC head who sued Ripple, the company, on 12/22/20. His name is Jay. Okay, let me rewind. Jay Uso. This is the name he goes by now, Jay Uso. And the guy who sues Ripple is Jay Clayton. Interesting that the word Jay, the way he spells it, equals 7-Eleven. That's Jay Clayton's birthday, 7-Eleven. And Trump is going to be sentenced on Jay Clayton's 58th birthday. So Trump's SEC head sues this company, Ripple. And then Trump, well, and another thing to mention here is this guy stepped down from his position one day after he sued Ripple. So how weird. They're setting up something very weird here. Why would he step down one day after suing Ripple? And then why would Trump, the guy who hired him, be being sentenced on his birthday? And what's the chances that if you go back from Trump's guilty verdict on 5/30/2024 this year, 1256 days, like we're going to be in Lunation 1256, it lands on the Ripple lawsuit by this guy, Jay Clayton, Donald J. Trump. Now, what's even crazier, okay, and another thing I need to mention, this is going to be Trump's sentencing is on his 58th birthday. XRP equals 58. He sued XRP Ripple. Okay. Trump is also connected with the 58, Trump Tower, all that stuff. But another connection, if you go back, so Trump's birthday this year was the Pluto return, which Pluto is about wealth also. Well, if you go back from Trump's birthday this year, 1256 days, it was J6, which a lot of people call it J again. So go back 1256 days from Trump's guilty, it's Jay Clayton's lawsuit. You go back 1256 days from Trump's birthday this year, it's J6. And again, we're going to be in Lunation 12/6, where Jay Uso is on the front of the cover and Donald J. Trump is going to be sentenced. Now, the founder, the original creator and founder of Ripple XRP is Ryan Fuger. And again, this 1256 is very hard to get, guys. There's not a lot of stuff that equals 1256. But Ryan Fuger equals 1256. He is the original conceiver of Ripple. What are the chances of that? And Jacob Fugger of the Lily. My next decode tomorrow is going to be a video I release all about the Jacob Fugger of the Lily family. And this all ties to next year's Super Bowl 59. And I'm going to show you proof that this Fugger family is connected with next year's Super Bowl 59 in New Orleans and how it's all about wealth and the richest people. This Fugger family was the richest family in their time in Germany. So, and it's all about the Lily, which is where New Orleans is. They have the Florida lease on there. That's what this is. So what I'm telling you guys is I don't think I can show you something any more obvious than what I just showed you, which is how Trump connects with the Clayton stuff and the lawsuit, how XRP was created by a guy that has the same gematria as the number I've been talking about, 1256. So that's the end of my presentation. I don't know if you have anything to add, Derek, but again, I didn't want to go too, I could share the whole Fugger family stuff here, but I kind of just want to release it as a video on its own. But I don't know if you have anything to add, Derek.
Yeah, I think that's a perfect way to bring it all together, to show that this creator has that same gematria as Joshua Fatu, who's in this arena that's clearly connected to the ongoing riddle, man. I think that's pretty wild.
Yeah. And I've been following this XRP trial or this case along with Trump's cases, and it's always syncing up. So it's clear that they did something. There's something coming with this coin.
Yeah, and it's going to be July 6th. You mentioned Ripple is 76. In standard, XRP is even 760. So they have a lot of connections to that date, with that 1256 maybe being the backbone of it all.
Right. And Now, I'm not saying to all the XRP holders in there, I'm not saying, oh, it's going to happen this month, next month. It could not. But the reality is somewhere between next month and Super Bowl 59, because the connections I'll show you tomorrow in my video about Super Bowl 59 are also pointing to something going down around that Super Bowl with money and connected to this family. It's all about the 59 in this case, but again, I'll show that tomorrow. But yeah, and in the XRP community, a lot of the XRP people already know about this Jacob Fugger. And I know about it because this family literally comes from my region I'm staying in right now in Germany, because my girlfriend is from Bavaria. And this family is they basically live not far from where I live. So but yeah, so that's my part. But Derek, I don't know if you want to share your screen and share anything you have, or you just want to talk about anything. The
Well,
story's connected to this.
yeah, I'm going to say, like, I think what we're looking at with the death of Roman Reigns' father is definitely synced, and we have a gold riddle there too, so it's part of the same riddle, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
So I do have a screen sharing, I think.
Okay, yeah, I see it.
Sure. So to just frame this for everyone, in the world of wrestling that we've been talking about, there was a riddle connected to Chris Benoit. This recent episode of Raw was on the anniversary of his death, on Freemasonry's anniversary. And speaking of masonry, the number 33, well, Chris Benoit died 333 days before his birthday. And his name, with caps added, Christopher Michael Benoit, equals 333. Well, then last week we had the debut of another Fatu. And just to give you guys a quick glimpse, this is like the NOIE family. There's a ton of them in wrestling. And you're looking at the debut of Jacob Fatu, who is a cousin of the Usos over here. And so you look at this 333, and Jacob Samuel Fatu, this guy's name equals 333. And he was born exactly 333 sidereal months after Chris Benoit. And now this past week, WWE announced a partnership with the city of Indianapolis, which equals 333. So there was a strong connection there. And then a couple days later, we learned that Roman Reigns' father died. And I guess he would be over here on this side. And Roman Reigns, the champion, until WrestleMania right there. So Sika Anoa'i was his name. He was known as Samoan too. And Sika died at 79 years old. And with capitals mixed, his two names, Sika and Anoa'i, both equal 79. And so does Roman Reigns' real name, also 79 with the S exception. And from the periodic table, the 79th element, gold, well, this was 79 days after Roman Reigns lost the gold at WrestleMania. Now, WrestleMania on April 7th, that was the night before the second Great American Eclipse. And April 7th is also the birthday of a wrestler named Rosie. And Rosie was Roman Reigns' brother. So another son of Sika and Anoa'i. So Roman Reigns lost the championship on Rosie's birthday this past year. And he even died at 47, born on 4/7. And it's, this popped at me right away because as I, first saw on your channel, there's been a strong theme with Rose recently. And this definitely connects to the current lunation also, because we're still in 1255. Rose has that 255. And there you see the lunation number. And this year, it's been 255 years since that Venus transit and total solar eclipse on the same date, which, by the way, on average should only happen once every 15,000 years. So astrologically, that was a very significant alignment.
Right.
So 79 days after the eclipse also, and notice how Rosie's name with capital letters equals 79. Coincidentally, perhaps, murder and eclipse sacrifice, both 79. It's just a number we see with death a lot. And then as far as the 255, well, there you have Roman Reigns' birthday, 25th of May. This is a number that Jacob Samuel Fatu shares with Christopher Michael Benoit, 255, just like Christopher Benoit reverse, debuting 255 days after his father's birthday. So this was Rosie's 54th birthday on WrestleMania when Roman Reigns lost the title. And 54 was a number that I noticed was connected to Sika Anoa'i, who was born on 4/5 of the year 45. And remember, when you write out 45, you get 45 and 54. Just like how when you write out 54, you get 54 and 45, right?
You know what's interesting, just to add, you know what's interesting about his birthday? It's the birthday of the supposed creator of Bitcoin, Satoshi Nakamoto.
Oh, April 5th.
Yep, it's his. I mean, it's not. It's the CIA probably, but I mean that's the person that's the name they give Satoshi Nakamoto, and that's his birthday. And Satoshi Nakamoto, yeah, he has interesting gematria as well. He has like I think Satoshi Nakamoto equals 224. We're in the year 224, and people are kind of always debating about who really is Satoshi Nakamoto. But right. I mean, we know it's probably the government themselves, not just some random person.
Well, and you mentioned Japan. I mean, he was born in 45, which is when the nuclear bombings happened.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And his full name is 405, and he was 40 years and 50 days old when Roman Reigns was born. And then you have Rosie, who died 405 days after the last total eclipse and 4 months, 5 days before the next eclipse. So, as always, this runs deep. Also, 54 is a number of ritual sacrifice because it sums to the 54th prime and 154. Sika Anoa'i also matching ritual sacrifice. And that was an alignment I just mentioned in my last video, not to get too sidetracked, but that 54, it's just something to keep an eye out for. That was the gematria of Kobe Bryant and his daughter. Uh-huh. And then 54 days after they announce Butterfly shoes dedicated to Gianna Bryant, we get the death of the guy who did the song Butterfly. And his name is double 54.
That's Seth. His name is Seth, huh? Yeah, it kind of reminds me of Seth Rollins, who's going to be at that Money in the Bank thing too.
For sure. Yeah, and I just kind of wound the clock back, found some more eclipse alignments with Rosie. I don't want to get too deep down this rabbit hole. But Rosie's 17,177 days old when he died. This is a number connected to the eclipse code, eclipse of the sun, the Jesuit order, 177. And then Sika dies on the 177th day of a leap year. And, just to throw it out there, there's probably a deeper lunar eclipse riddle here also. And, you think about rose, the moon turns the color rose. And we have this big Pi Day total lunar eclipse next year. And once we get to the lunation 1256, we can probably expect riddles connected to that. Total lunar eclipse is 256.
Yeah, and we kind of already had a bit of that because I told you in our chat a bit that the Samoan werewolf, which of course is the same family, that equals 256. So they kind of already hinted at that. And of course, if you type in of course that matches. I think that's in the same cipher as total lunar eclipse, right?
Right. Yeah, you have the 203 there also.
Yeah. So, and yeah, I don't know if Joseph has looked into this. Joseph in the chat, but in the movie Leave the World Behind, they give you the date. Well, they show a scene from the moon looking at the Earth, and there's an eclipse happening. And somewhere in that movie, I need to go back and watch it and figure it out. But there is something on a screen somewhere where they give you the date this year, which is a lunar eclipse on September 18th. What's interesting too is about the date September 18th. It can be written 189, which is the gematria of lunar eclipse also. And I think could be interesting because I might have a video coming on that, but I just think that this whole thing with this Samoan werewolf debuting and being all about a blood and moon and yeah, it could also very much tie to next year's March moon as well, or maybe just it connects to both somehow. I'm sure.
Yeah, so coming up on July 2nd, this will be this 255 days before the Pi Day eclipse, which could also be 256 with the end date.
Mm-hmm.
And
It makes me think about that too. You're showing the Rose connection. Well, Cody Rhodes, and Rhodes means a clearing where roses grow is what Rhodes means, I actually think. And if you go, of course, Cody Rhodes is the American Nightmare. And I noticed that July 2nd is the 184th day of the year. Well, that was a big eclipse number I followed too with Cody Rhodes because the Great American Eclipse, and I think what was it? Oh yeah, it was Great American Eclipse. And I think Cody Rhodes has a lot of 184 connections, like the American Nightmare. Can't remember all of them right now. WrestleMania equals 184. It might be the American Nightmare Cody Rhodes, or you don't have to type it all in, but there was a bunch of 184s with that, and I actually kind of said something would happen on October 7th before it happened because 184 days before the WrestleMania and the eclipse was the day that Hamas attacked, and that was connected with the 184. I had a video about that where I talked about how before it even happened, how I was thinking October 7th was interesting because of the 184 connections. But anyway, what I'm saying is that it's interesting that Cody Rhodes' birthday is on June 30th. And 2 days later is that date you just said, which is the 184. And normally Cody Rhodes is born on the day leaving 184 days in the year. So, yeah, a big number with him. But yeah, and the just connecting with that rose eclipse you were just talking about with the rose and how it connects with him. Of course, that's why I believe they have him as the centerpiece of the company right now. It has to be a rose theme there, and yeah,
it sounds likely. That's true about his name, Rhodes. I mean, you have it right there.
And Zenith in the chat says that's interesting. 255th composite number is 322.
The age of Yale right now.
Yep. That's interesting.
Just never checked the gematria of the number itself. Just curious.
That 240, I've seen that coming up often, but I can't remember exactly what for right now, but I know I've been seeing that number.
273 is 666. 105 also, but yeah.
Oh yeah,
so
and I was going to say
all I got as far as the wrestling part.
Yeah, I was going to say you want to talk about that coup that happened yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, this is not like what I expected to see when we looked at the Rose riddle, but there's definitely something to do with Venus with this story. And I looked into the president of Bolivia after showing you everything I looked at the beginning, and I was just like, wow. I mean, first of all, he's a Libra, which is ruled by the planet Venus. He has that 119 birth numerology, and he's the president of Bolivia, which is 119. But this is a number that we see connected to the divine feminine. And I don't know if I knew that connection with Venus actually being at 138 on the ecliptic for the 9/11 attacks.
Yeah, that's insane.
Yeah, it's wild. I mean, 138, a huge number for Venus, as it orbits the sun 13 years in the time it takes Earth to do it 8 times. So, like last year, 8 years after Dusty Rhodes' death, that's also exactly 13 Venus years. Venus rose, rose of Venus, both 138. But then you type
Yeah.
in coup d'etat,
Yeah.
and it's 138. And here we get this coup d'etat in Bolivia, which was exactly 25 Venusian years after Bolivia's recent constitution back in 2009. Now, notice how Bolivia and constitution has a bunch of overlap in gematria. I mean, 791 Latin is pretty strong. And the date of that constitution was 27, which is Venus in multiple reduction methods, 27. The president was 45 years old, like Venus with the exception. And his last name, Arce. Took me 3 tries to roll my R's. How sad is that?
I can't even do that, so you're doing better than me.
So yeah, anyway, his name is double 27. And he was born 138 years after Bolivia gained its independence. He's got birth numerology of 138. And then you have plurinational state of Bolivia, 138. His next birthday is really what this is all connected to, I noticed. Because, his next birthday is on the date leaving 94 days in the year. And this coup d'etat attempt was 94 days before his birthday and 272 days after his last. And his next birthday is on the 272nd day of the year, right? So that birthday later this year has numerology connecting to Venus in gematria, 81, 45, and 27. President Luis Arce, 81 and 801. His last name, Arce, 81, 27. And he'll be 61 years old. And that's the 18th prime number, which connects to Venus and President Luis Arce. So, and there's more too. You even have the 57. It was the army trying to take over. Moon, rose 57, Venus rose, rose of Venus. And he took office at the age of 57. His age ended in 570 for that constitution that I talked about earlier. And again, all under Lunation 1255, the big rose riddle. Yeah, we did have a 188 connection. We just touched on this number earlier. The capital of Bolivia has double gematria of 188. And the president's age had the 188, and it was on the date leaving 188 days in the year. So,
yeah.
Yep, interesting stuff there.
Yeah, that's interesting too, because it's the opposite day on the calendar of the Money in the Bank. So
exactly.
I'm just wondering, like, what is the actual story that's going to play out with this Jay Clayton Trump stuff? What's going to actually come out eventually about all this, and how's it going to affect these things? Like, it will be. I guarantee it'll be a drama, but I feel like it is connected to a lot of what's happening, like this coup this coup. And I told you yesterday, also at the Money in the Bank, you're going to have Finn Balor, the wrestler, who has the coup de grace, and coup de grace means like final blow, and that could also connect to a lot of things also with Trump. But yeah, I found it very interesting that that's what we got. I was not expecting Bolivia code, but it's the last country I think of.
Sometimes that's how it happens. A lot of people always think about disasters happening on a date. I remember one time someone talked about these alignments for the Pope, and I'm like, well, that's kind of interesting. He's like, the Pope's going to die. And then, like, there was a story about the Pope eating McDonald's on that date. It was like connected to McDonald's. I was like, come on, man, this is so funny. But, I mean,
that's usually how it is, man. That's usually how it is. Like last year, I was decoding something possibly happening. I don't know if I told you, I don't know if I ever told you this story, but I was decoding something possibly happening on August 9th last year with Biden, like a possible something taking him out, right? I mean, I wasn't saying it was 100% going to happen. I never do say that, but I was like, it could be. And then that day, we get a news of a Utah man threatening to take him out in Utah. And I was like, okay. And then I looked up the guy's name, and his name is literally my last name. like he has my last name, and I never see my last name in the news ever. It's the first time I've seen it My last name's Robertson, and this guy's name was Robertson. And I was like, are you kidding me? So I'm decoding this day. And then on that very day, you get in the news, a guy with my last name was plotting to take out Biden in Utah. And I'm like, that's just one of the many I've had happen where and the thing with the dam, like I was looking for something with Kamala and a dam on May 19th. And then we had the Iranian president die after inaugurating a dam. I was like, okay. Like it always happens similar to what I'm thinking, but never exactly, like it's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, I can think of other examples too. And it's, you got to have a sense of humor about it sometimes, but, similar thing with Lewis Hamilton this past weekend where I noticed a skull and bones riddle and it's like, oh, is he going to crash? Is something going to happen? And then there was just an anonymous email that leaked about his car being sabotaged by his own team and how it could kill him. And it's like, okay. I mean, that's wild that, I did a post 10 days before that and showed the alignments with skull and bones. And there you go.
It just shows that these alignments do point to things, but they're never going to give you exactly what you're thinking. It's just never going to happen usually exactly what you're thinking, the exact scenario you're thinking and the exact way you're thinking. But like I said, I've had plenty where things happen where it's very similar to what I was thinking, just kind of in a more humorous way. It's more like it's just God joking with me at that point.
Right. I haven't seen my last name in the news yet. I guess I'm the only I'm in the only family of Tickeries in the entire country, I think. So
yeah, yours would be even crazier if that was to happen with something like with you.
No, the closest we ever got was I think in the George Floyd thing, he was killed by a guy named Derek Michael Chauvin, and that's my first and middle name spelled the same way. So
yeah, I
was like, oh great, I'm associated with this guy. I mean, of all people, it's got to be the guy at the center of the most controversy.
Yeah. I mean, my name's a little bit more common, but still, I hadn't seen it. And just the fact that it happened on the exact day that I was looking at for a while too, it was like 2 months I was talking about that day, and then it just happens to be this Robertson guy, and they actually shot him too. So I guess my Robertson died on that day. So,
well, thankfully it wasn't you.
Yeah, and then the dam thing that happened with too. I was talking about the dams on 519, and then I was talking about how on 6-2 there could be something connected with that, and then 6-1 and 6-2, which is 13 days difference, which is the difference between the Julian and Gregorian calendar, and then ends up happening that the dams were breaking here in Germany, where I'm from, and we almost got flooded, but my house was, or my girlfriend's house was saved by like a couple streets over it flooded, and if it would have been any farther, it would have been here. So it's just lots of crazy stuff in this matrix for sure.
Yeah, I guess the coolest organic thing I found is that I've always been particularly fond of the Truman Show for many reasons, because something about that movie, it came out right after I turned 13, and I saw it in the theaters that day, and there was something, whatever they did with the symbolism in that film worked. Like it got through to me in a way that I couldn't describe, and when I look at how gematria kind of affects our perception of reality, it sort of aligns with some of that symbolism of the Truman Show, as if people are placed everywhere in our lives on purpose. Like there are no coincidences. Everything happens for a reason, etc. You kind of get that feeling sometimes about reality,
Mm-hmm.
So I associate the two, and especially since Jim Carrey went on to star in that movie, The Number 23, where he talks about gematria. And then later on, I figured out that the first version of the Gematrinator that I built, I did so on Jim Carrey's birthday. Well, anyway, I thought, how old was I when I saw The Truman Show, even though I knew it was just one day after my birthday? But it came out. I was 156 months and 1 day old. And you look at Harry S. Truman, Sumerian 1056, and he was the 33rd president, and 33 is 156.
Yeah.
So I thought that was interesting enough, right? You could say 156-1, 156-2, but it's there. But then I thought, all right, what about, let me do this. The Truman Show.
Bring it back.
1561 and 1562. I'm like, what? That's my age, and I saw it. I mean, I never see movies on opening day except for like a
Wow.
couple Star Wars
I
films
mean,
that I
that's
remember.
insane too. Just the fact that in the standard and the reverse standard, it's the two durations that you could have been. That's insane.
Yeah, that's what I thought. And just to make it, you got the 1612 in Latin. Well, from Harry S. Truman, from his death, 1226 of 72, I get 1216.
Yeah.
So it's just, I mean, maybe it's random, but I don't know. Something tells me it's not. It's just weird, man. I got the same birthday as the guy from Pi who builds the whole the Bible Torah decoder in that film.
Yeah. And like with what Sean has been showing me about his life, and every day he's updating me on his organic sinks. Like Sean is amazing at finding his own organic sinks.
I've noticed, yes.
And like he shares with me a lot of stuff he doesn't even really share with everyone else, but I can just say, like, I'm always blown away. I don't even know what to say a lot of times. Him and his dad are synced up with the events going on right now, with like Roman Reigns just losing his dad, and Sean's connection with his dad. And it just, like, some of the stuff he's been sharing is insane. And like with me, and I don't really necessarily look for my organic connections as much, but I see them every day. I just don't always like write them down or document them. But like,
you'd have no time for anything else.
Yeah.
And I think it's interesting sometimes to do that, like, but only really when something really strikes you in reality, like,
right.
You have to be hit by that strong coincidence that's enough for you to question in the first place. And then you look into the numbers and you realize there's always something deeper. Always. I mean, it's wild.
Yeah, it is. And it's just with me lately, this past month, since May 1st, after when Sean had that big connection with that earthquake that happened live on his stream at 1:54 into the video. And I was talking about doors opening at that time because I was talking about Kobe Bryant, his connection with opening doors and the number 135. And then that happened in Corona, California at 1:54 into the minute. Corona, California equaled 1:54. And it happened again on Kobe Bryant's daughter's birthday. It was 5/1, the Illuminati's 248th birthday. And yeah, ever since that day, though, organic sinks with me and Sean have been just like pounding us, with me with the damn stuff, me and Sean sinks we've had. And like maybe a door really did open up that day with like a bunch of like organic stuff. But
well, it's not like the doors are getting more and more closed. If anything,
right.
They're definitely all opening up,
Right.
It seems like the more focus we put on it, clearly the more we get back out of it as well.
Yeah. And that's what Casey just said in the chat. Lodge 49, there's a huge connection with me and Sean in the Lodge 49 show that I revealed the other day. Came out 307 weeks exactly before the 307 Masonry's birthday. And the guy in that show's name is Sean, and he lost his dad, and the whole show is about him losing his dad. And Sean, obviously had his dad's situation. And I just it's crazy, man. It really is. And then the guy in that movie that helps Sean in that movie is a plumber, and I used to be a plumber. And it's like, that's crazy. So, but yeah, if there's anything else you want to share, Derek, or anything you want to add, or with the decode, or
not really. I think I got it all out there today.
Okay. Well, again, I appreciate you coming on and sharing that and adding to it, because I didn't have time to do like a lot of the decodes that, like, you're much faster at putting together decodes than I am. I'm kind of slow when it comes to like, so like for me, I was wanting to do a decode on that coup d'etat and that death of Roman Reigns, but all I really did with the Roman Reigns thing was just post like the 79 connection in my community. But my next video again will be about the Fuger family, and then also I'm going to have a video coming out connecting the 418 number on Crowley's book to this wrestler that debuted the Samoan werewolf, and how it's connected to Trump. And so I'll have those coming out. But
well, don't worry about being slow. I mean, sometimes I'll take an extra day. Like I usually do the decode one day, and then the next morning I'll do the video, because
Hmm.
sometimes I just gotta let things process, or I'll wake up with more of a clear mind as far as how to order things. So I would urge you to continue what you're doing, because it's working as far as the order in which you present stuff. You don't go too deep into one topic, but you do a really good job of exploring the prevalent theme and how it connects to everything you're sharing. So I would keep that up. I think it's working. And you know, for me, I like to do the blog, and then sometimes I'll put slides together for the video. But if it comes to us combining more work, because just based on how much time we have and the quality of work we can put out, I'm okay with coming back on more and more. I mean, I have my own channel that has a lot of subscribers, but it's not, yours gets more views anyway. So, I mean, if we're gonna try and get this work out there, maybe there's, in the long run anyway, something we can work out to do things together, and bring others on as well who are also doing great work. I don't know. Well, I guess we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I am just like always been a teamwork person. I love like bringing people together. Even when I was in bands when I was younger, I was always like the glue that was trying to keep. I was the one that like helped build my bands when I was in bands. Like I brought the people together, and I feel like that's kind of what I'm meant to do. So, and I feel like I love having everyone working together, and especially bringing you in here, and then having Sean, who obviously I love having him usually on here with me, but because he's working more lately, I'm missing him actually, but like the whole thing with, and then I would love to bring Zenith on more, and Joseph, and the Illusion, and all these people that have been on here before. But yeah, it's great to have other people working, because I can't cover all the stories, and neither can anyone else. So it's good to have everyone kind of covering everything, in my opinion.
Yeah, because I think there's a certain level to which, like, I won't do a decode. Like, I'm not just going to do a blog post and show like a couple of data alignments with some gematria. Like, there's got to be a deeper reason to go in and really explore it and understand how it connects to other things. And I think you and I, like, you're the person who's closest to what I've been trying to put out, but also in a cleaner manner in some sense too. So I feel like it's a good combo. And then what else was I going to say? I don't know. Go on.
Yeah, like I appreciate that, and I just try to be like you said, I try to be like just I kind of have try to have discernment on how far I want to go into each thing, and try to find like the main numbers, and then just because I definitely don't have time. My girlfriend would be so upset with me if I decoded any more than I already do. So, and she's right. I need to have also a life outside of that too. So the point is, like, it's good. I'm glad that what I've been doing is working, and people still watch, and I feel blessed, really blessed, that people still watch, and in the amount of numbers that they do, even though that the downtime right now, views are down and YouTube is censoring even more. I feel blessed, and I don't understand. Your channel has to be getting censored, and Joseph's. I mean, you guys both have. Joseph has 18K, you have 20, and you guys are getting way less views than you should be, in my opinion. So
It's an algorithm. There's a formula. I don't know it yet, but it's recognizable.
right, and that's but yeah, hopefully we can work together and get people on, and bring new people on too. I love to bring some new people into the community that are out there that are good decoders that haven't even been on. Like, there's a few that I can think of here, but yeah, I need a roundtable again, probably next month. Maybe I'll try to get one where I can bring more people on. But yeah, it's good.
Cool beans.
All right, man. Well, thanks for coming on, and hopefully you have a good day over there. And um, we'll keep updated on everything that's going on. I'm sure we'll have some more news stories.
Absolutely, will do, brother. We'll talk to you soon, I'm sure.
All right, man. Have a good
All right.
one.
Take it easy, everyone. Later.
All right, guys. Well, again, thanks to Derek. Amazing. He's amazing at seeing the patterns. And again, very grateful for his tool and his calculator. And I'm sure we all are, because we all use it. So, and again, thank you to all the people in the chat. Please hit the like buttons, guys. All you people in the chat, I appreciate if you hit the likes. Try to get me to 100 likes by the time the show's over. And I'll give a shout out to Zenith in the chat, Sven Dabs, Coffee Girl, Zenith and Casey are talking about bringing Dan Barrett. yeah, I'd have to figure out how to reach out to him. I'm not as familiar with his work as I am with a lot of other people's, but I know he has some great work, and I would love to bring more and more people on. So that's another one I can think about. Yeah, and of course I love having Casey on when he usually comes on. And if you ever want to come on, Zenith, you're also welcome. And Lambda, if you're out there, if you ever want to come on. Anyways, guys, please hit the likes as you're filing out. I'm going to get off here. I've only got a certain amount of streaming time left this month, but hope you guys enjoyed the stream. And thank you guys so much. Much love. And I will see you guys as usual in the next video. Take care.